What's up, YouTube? It's Juice Beats, and I'm back with another race. This one is the Music City Crit Series race, and this happened on June 29th at 7 p.m. And before we get started, I wanted to pop up my stats for this race. So the race was 8.29 miles, finished in 1933. Averaged 25.4 miles an hour. The total feet, so pretty flat, 56 feet around this track. And then 387 watt average for the race. This is according to my Garmin and my Stages power meter that I have on my bike. So I wanted to take a second just to calculate what my power to weight ratio was, and I took that 387 for that 20-minute race basically, so I rounded up a little bit. But so for 20 minutes you times that by 0.95 and you get 368. I take my weight 105.9 and then I calculated the 368 in there in the average power, and I get 3.47 as my power to weight ratio. It says that, welcome to the CAT3s on this website. Not sure I'm ready for that, but it makes me feel good that my FTP and my power to weight ratio has climbed significantly this year. So I think I went from like 2.5 or something like that. So almost a full point above that. Yeah, I feel pretty strong at this point. This is the 4-5 race, and they actually split it up between the CAT4s and the CAT5s as far as the placings. So while you're racing with the 4s and 5s together, you actually get placed after the race, first, second, third in your category. So I'm still a CAT5. This is only my 5th race ever. And this is my first crit race where the entire course is pretty flat. Decent start. I actually didn't clip in right away on this one. My foot kind of slipped on the pedal a little bit, and I looked down and finally got it in. But then, once I got it in, I was still with everybody, so nobody took off right out the gate on this one. And we're speeding around this loop here. So one thing about this race is I looked online beforehand just to see what the course looked like, and just to get a feel for everything. But they switch it up every week or so. So some weeks it is just basically a pill shape with a little bit of a chicane in it. So not very technical, and it's just fast, and you're going around basically in a circle. And this one happened to have a 180-degree turn in it with this chicane turn as well. Fairly easy course with a little bit of a technical turn here. If you guys remember my other video in Oak Ridge, I did a race there where it had a 180-degree turn. But this one here is wider and not as sharp. You have a lot more room to go around it, so you don't have to slow down as much. So as I go through the finish line there, I'm slowing down just a little bit, but I'm still keeping a 20 mile per hour speed, and then I'm ramping back up. So you really don't lose that much speed going around that turn. Felt good going into this race. I've been working on my eating habits and just trying to be healthy. Also, I made sure that I had enough carbohydrates and everything before this race. So a little bit of background as far as what I ate. So in the morning, I ate some muesli, which is just basically oatmeal cereal. So it has, oatmeal and raisins, and I use, regular whole Fairlife milk. So I ate that in the morning. I had some, I believe, avocado toast for lunch. So I was getting my carbohydrates in, eating, fairly healthy. And then before the race, so maybe 3 hours before the race, I had a Cliff Bar because I got hungry in the car on the way there. And then 2 hours before the race, I had another Cliff Bar. So had my carbohydrates. I was ready. I knew I was going to expel a lot of energy in this race, and I knew it was going to be hot, so I wanted to make sure that I had enough energy. So here we go, going around these curves here. Still keeping the speed, but as you turn, obviously got to push down the pedal a little bit, and I guess because this course is flat, the spikes in the wattage, so you'll see I go well over 1,000 on a lot of the spikes here going around that curve, but they didn't jolt me as much. I guess because I wasn't as tired, from the other ones that I've done with the hills and things like that. It tires you out a little quicker, but because this race is so flat, that didn't tire me out as much. And then I was able to draft pretty well in this race as well. So we're still early on. This is the closing in on the third lap, the third lap here, getting ready to start the fourth lap. And I'm just cruising behind, trying to stay close to the front as possible, looking to see if anybody's taking off in the front. Nobody really is taking off from what I can tell. I mean, there's a couple guys that got a little further off the front, but really it was closed down very, very quickly. There was no big attacks or anything like that. So here we go. We're just finishing the third lap, and I'm still feeling good. My beats per minute is under control, and I'm just trying to make sure that I take this turn well enough that I'm staying in contention. And I think I did that very well. I learned from the Oak Ridge race that 180-degree turn just to make sure that I shift so that I'm in an easier gear coming out of it, and that way I can speed up quicker. And that's what I did. So coming around the back, the stretch towards the finish line, I would kind of slow down as I hit the finish line, and then downshift so that I could go around the curve and then pop right back out with the watts. So the course as a whole, I believe, is about 0.75. So a little less than a mile. Really quick course. Even though it looked technical, it didn't feel technical to me. The chicane turn was the biggest thing, and it really wasn't that big of a deal. And then the very last turn, I would say that one was probably the toughest, just because you are leaning and just going around that curve as fast as possible so that you can sprint to the finish. So this race, I made sure that I stayed up close to the front, and I wanted to be, fifth, sixth wheel, somewhere around in there. Early on, I think I was maybe 10th wheel for a little bit, but that quickly passed once the speed ramped up a bit. You can see up in the top left corner how hot it was, 91.4, and that's actually lower than it was before when I got to the race. So when I got to the race 2 hours before, it was even hotter. So the sun is actually going down at this point, and it's not as bad as it was. The summer months in the South are pretty rough. When you're riding, you don't realize how much of a toll the sun takes, and how much of a strain it puts on you when you're riding. Like my heart rate, I would say it's fairly normal right now, but it does ramp up pretty high towards the end, and I think it's mostly due to the just the heat. Obviously, the race does get a little bit more intense towards the end here, but that's still, I don't believe that my heart rate should get that high, basically. So my max heart rate got up to 181 in this race, and it stayed there for a while. So I think that was due more to the heat than the actual strain and the physicality of the race. Because, like I said, I felt really good going into this. Felt prepared. Been working on my endurance and everything, and just making sure that I was ready for this. Little bits of surges and things going on, but nothing too bad. Nothing taking off at the front at this moment. And believe it or not, I really didn't look down at my Garmin this entire race. So as soon as I set it up with the video and press start right before the race, I really didn't look at it very much at all. I was really more concentrating on the riders in front of me and staying close and just making sure I was still in contention. And I believe at one point I was riding. I was like, "Oh crap! What lap are we on?" And I remember looking up and finally seeing, I think, 3 or 4 laps to go. I was like, "Oh, we're getting close to the end here." So a lot of these guys have done this race before, I believe, and they are local to Nashville. I got lucky enough that I had a free Wednesday off and was able to drive the 2.5 hours to make it to the race here. The race started at 7 Central, so that's 8 my time on Eastern. The ride back, I got home pretty late, but definitely worth it if you wait till the end of this race here. I think I'm sitting somewhere around 10th wheel maybe at this point. We're 7 laps in, only a few more to go. And we're lapping some of the junior riders that were riding with us as well. So 9th wheel coming in, getting ready to start this 8th lap. I want to say there was a little bit of wind on this backstretch, but really didn't affect much. If anything, it was maybe a 5 mile per hour wind, but I don't think it got up that high. I let a little bit of a gap open here, but I remember thinking I'm not too worried about it because we're about to go through this little chicane area, and that's kind of where people slow down in this race. I noticed after the first few laps that people would slow down through the curves and even brake some. So I knew if I didn't brake and I was able to go around these curves the way I normally do, that I would catch right back up. Very, very short straightaway to the finish line there. So just keep that in mind. So here we go. Only a couple laps to go. So now I got to pay attention. I got to make sure there's no attacks. Got to make sure I close this gap here as well. And here comes this guy to my rescue. Pulled me right back in there. I believe there were some teams. I believe a couple of these guys up at the front here are on a team. So they were working with each other on the front and just letting each other draft. So that was pretty cool to see. You know, that working. Yeah, there's a couple guys in on a team in this race, and I saw them working together at the front there. They did a pretty good job of holding everybody off until the end here. So we're still ramping up here. So this is going to be the start of the 10th lap. Still sitting in a pretty good position as long as nobody takes off at this point. But I am just making sure that I am in the draft, in the top half of the peloton here, and you can see the speed is starting to ramp up a little bit. Now I know with so this is the second to last lap. I know that Could be some breakaways. There could be some attacks here, but as long as I am sitting pretty on these wheels right here, I should be good. I remember thinking at this point too, I'm like, oh, I'm with the front group still. All right. So here we go. This is the last one, the bell lap. The old guy on the right ringing the bell. And I think I got I got a good inside turn here. Ramped up to over 1,000 watts. Got right up in the slipstream behind these guys. And we're off right here. This is the last lap. I'm excited. I'm sitting, what am I, 6 wheel? And this is where the attack starts. So they attacked, and I actually heard it. I think the guy on the right that was standing on the barrier there, he might have been one of the coaches, and I think I heard either him or maybe somebody at the front to attack, and they took off at that point, and I was just too late to react. And of course, my heart rate is at 181 this entire time, so I just didn't have the kick that I wanted to at that point. Obviously, I could have killed myself to ramp it up, but sitting 5th wheel right now, and then these two guys come in on the inside of me. They take a really good line around this actually, but I was like, oh, I gotta kick it in right here. And 1,533 watts later, I kicked it in, but I just didn't have enough at the end to overtake those two guys. So I wanted to break down this last little part in the race. So when the guy takes off from the front, you know, they got a good jump, good kick out there, and there's not enough track, I don't think, at this point for me, especially where my heart rate is, to catch up. So basically, I'm just trying to get a place here, just trying to, you know, place high at this point. Come on these curves right here, toward the very last curve, I slow down just slightly because I'm getting ready to go around, and these guys kind of accelerate right underneath. And I accelerate out, and I should have had enough. I hit 1,533 watts right here. But what happened was, when I came out of that curve there, my back tire was kind of skidding. And it's kind of hard to tell on the video because of the stabilization and everything in the GoPro. But I was pressing down so hard that my back tire was skidding just a tiny bit, and then it was actually coming off the track as I was trying to go. So that's how much power I was putting down. It recorded 1,533. I might have been putting out a little bit more than that. But that's kind of what happened there. So I wasn't able to really get enough traction to beat those guys to the line there. Even though I think I took a decent line on that one, they kind of went pretty wide because they had to. They came on the inside, and they had to take a wide curve around there. So if the course was, or the finish line was just a little bit longer there, I think I would have placed even higher in the CAT4s. But you know, since I'm a CAT5, I ended up about to see the results. Posting them right now.
It's been more organized. 20 minutes. Yeah. I wish we could have those every car. Yeah.
First place, baby. You got first place. My first.
You got first there? Oh yeah. You got first.
So I ended up 7th overall in the 4 or 5, but because they split up the field, and they grade you, which cat you are. I actually got first place as a CAT5. So 7th overall and first place as a CAT5 racer. Those were actually CAT4 racers that I was racing with that entire time. So I felt really good about that. Felt good about staying with those CAT4s. And yeah, my first win ever. So I was really excited about that. Felt great about this race. And I am looking forward to more races just like that. I'm hoping I will be able to make it out to the Music City again and do this race, and maybe a different format, different course layout the next time. But that was so fun. The 180-degree turn really didn't bother me all that much in this race, now that I know how to actually go around it and keep my speed going. And yeah, so excited about that race. Finally got my first win in my 5th race ever, and looking forward to doing some more races here soon. So I wanted to talk about what I've been doing for the past about month and a half. So my last race was mid-May. And since then, I haven't been able to get much video content out just because I have been extremely busy. I'm a wedding photographer, so I've been editing and shooting and editing and shooting, and also dealing with 3 kids at home. So it's been tough to get a video together and get some quiet time in the house where I can put together these things for you guys. But since that mid-May, I have shot basically 11 weddings and several other sessions in between, and I'm trying to get caught up on the editing. I think I'm getting close. I'm down to the last few weddings on the editing stance, but yeah, that's what I've been doing lately, and I wanted to let you guys know that I'm trying to get content out, and I like to get more out week by week, but that's what I'm dealing with right now. It's busy wedding season, and it's going to be like that for the next few months. So I will try to get content out as best I can. Let me know what you think about the video, and if you have any comments or anything. I know that there's a lot to work on in this video, just looking at it for the first time after the race, basically. No, there's a lot to work on there, and just being able to see those attacks and things like that, and also staying closer to the wheel throughout the race. But man, that felt good. Got to stand on the podium, won a couple little prizes or whatever, but definitely great first win. Yeah, let me know in the comments what you thought about the race. Anything to help me out, if you want to put something down there in the comments. I know there's a lot to learn here from this video. Definitely staying on wheels a little bit longer and seeing those attacks before they happen, basically. But it's my first few races, so I'm still learning on this, and I definitely feel like I am getting better, and will continue to get better at these races the more that I do them. Yo, please like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at IamJMess24. But I will see you on the next one.